All right, Bill, you're good to go.
I will call this meeting of the Avon Redevelopment Commission to order. And next on the agenda is minute approvals from June 15th. Any additions, changes? Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes. Look good to me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Sorry, was that a motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Was that Jason Tuttle?
Yes.
Yes. Grant Niemeyer,
4.
Andy Ottenweiler. Andy,
Yeah, you're still muted, Andy.
4.
there, I gotcha. Bill Reed
4.
and Jason Tuttle.
4.
Minutes were approved 4-0.
Okay, next up is the invoices. I see 4, Ryan, that are currently presented. Is that everything as we've got it currently, or is there anything pending out there we don't have?
Nope, you guys, everything that's on the agenda there is for your guys' approval. I'll walk you through them really quick. The Dan Jones resurfacing is obviously the Dan Jones paving project that we got community crossing funds. I do have this on your agenda for approval, but we will actually pull this invoice, the payment for this cost actually out of the community crossings grant that we got, but I'm just still having you guys for formality purposes approve the invoice. It is, the total project's about $2 million, if you guys recall. So we do expect some additional invoices on that. The 2 County Road 100 South invoices are both right-of-way acquisitions. We were able in the condemnation process with Farmland Reserve to get an agreement with them. And so they agreed to accept the compensation based on our appraisal so that's the $529,300. And then through the condemnation process, we were also able to get Duke to agree to the appraised amount as well, which is the $102,400. So both of those right-of-ways are closing, and that leaves us only the Browning and Duke parcel remaining. And then the last one, it says Avon Sidewalks and Multi-Use Path, but that's actually the intermediate school road. Those are the intermediate school road and the Avon Sidewalks and Multi-Use Path construction project were bid together. So although that looks like it's showing up as the sidewalks and trails, it is the intermediate school road. And that pretty well covers it. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
On the change orders, does the contractor typically justify that? Maybe they have elsewhere, but I was just curious on there's $400-some thousand worth of change orders.
Which one are you looking at, Grant?
The milestone, I'm sorry.
The only milestone change order that we should have was, if you remember, we change ordered the northbound left turn lane
Yeah,
at Maria Lane for the school.
right.
That was only $218,000.
On the face of the invoice, they have original contract and then change orders, 439,000.
Yeah, I don't think that's right, Grant. I'll look into that and see. We have not approved. The only change order we've done so far is the $218,000 for the northbound left turn lane.
Yeah, I remember discussing that. I just, didn't know if typically on an invoice like that, they write up, an explanation or some kind of justification for those change orders, regardless if we've previously approved the entrance or whatever it is. I was
Yeah,
just-
normally they file a written change order request when they provide documentation for whatever their change order amount is before we process it.
Okay.
I'm not sure why they have that on here. Because I don't even see anything that would actually necessitate it. So
Right. I didn't either, looking through everything, but okay.
I'll double check with, this is actually, if you notice, milestone on that invoice. Oh, I guess it didn't show up it's not showing up on the document here, but we do have United Consulting who's doing the review. And so he stamped it on my version. So when you look at the PDF, he stamps it with that he's reviewed it and that the dollar amount is accurate with what they've actually placed. Because Grant United is actually out there measuring and they're agreeing to the quantities before we actually reimburse them.
Okay.
So there's that step in the process too. Before we actually pay them, it has to be approved by United.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments regards to the invoices as presented?
So then, Ryan, do we need to hold off on approving that one till you get more clarification?
No, because they're just showing that as a total contract amount. That's not actually in the billing that they're doing.
Okay.
So before we do a final payment, yes, we'll need to verify that, but you should still be able to approve this. They're not showing any billing against that change order, so it's fine.
Okay.
That's all the questions I had.
I move to accept the invoices.
I'll second that.
Grant Niemeyer,
4.
Andy Ottenweller,
4,
Bill Reed,
4,
Jason Tuttle.
4.
It passed 4-0. Thank you.
okay, thank you all. Next on the agenda, Ryan, the County Road 100 South update.
Yeah, I just want to touch base with you guys real quick on this. I know I didn't provide any information in your packet, but we did bid the project for 100 South, and we received 5 bids. The low bidder was Reith Riley, and it was just under 2 million. I'm gonna try to share my screen here. Give me a second. All right, well, maybe not. It doesn't want to cooperate.
Ryan, you said 2 million. That's,
Sorry. Yeah, thank you, John. Here, I got it. The low bidder was 12,166,842.90 for their base bid. We also had an alternate one. Here, I'm gonna try to get it back up. I think I figured it out. Here it comes. Can you guys see that?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the 5 bids. So the low bidder was Reith Riley, which is the middle bid there, 12,166,842.90. The alternate one is for all the landscaping on the project. So it included landscaping at all the roundabouts and all the splitter islands. And then it also included trees along the outside of the road as well as some trees in the boulevard. If you guys recall, the road cross section for this has a boulevard. And so it's a fairly substantial landscaping package, but that was purposely done recognizing that this area was going to be industrial and that the buildings aren't all that nice.
Ryan, can you let Greg Susan in the meeting?
Yep, I just let him in. He
Thank
just
you.
popped up and notified me.
Okay.
So that's alternate 1. Alternate 2 is also a landscape package. So we would not do alternate 1 and alternate 2. We would only do one or the other. Alternate 2 just removes the trees in the boulevard. So it's just removing the trees. So that's only about 50,000. Alternate 3 is the price to pave the trail on the north side of 100 South. If you guys recall, this was not part of our project. We're actually building the shelf, but we were asked by the Mormon Church to include the cost of paving that in our bid in case they wanted to pay to do that as part of the project. We're waiting to hear if they want to do that or not. But if they do want to do it, that would be an expense that they would pay for, that 188,000. I know in some conversations that I've had with them, they've expressed concern because as they build buildings, they would be responsible for building the sidewalks along the way as they built buildings. And so they're proposing like 5 buildings along the corridor. So they wouldn't have a $200,000 hit all at once. They'd have a $30,000 hit each time they did a building, or a $40,000 hit each time they did a building. And they would associate that cost in their pro forma to that building and not necessarily have to come up with the money up front. So I know I've had some discussions with them, and ultimately this would be your guys' decision as the RDC. If the town paid for it, but we agreed that they would pay us back as those buildings came through. And so in the long run, it would save us some money, it would save them some money, and we'd get the whole trail network in advance instead of having to wait as they build 5 separate segments. And so that's something, when we actually come to you guys and ask you guys to approve this bid, that we can discuss further. American Structure Point has reviewed the bids. The bids are good, and they've recommended that it be awarded. And so this is not on your agenda tonight, but I just wanted to show it to you guys and give you a heads up. Our plan is, right now, Greg Garatos is working through the financing of the project as it's been bid. And so at the August 13th meeting, we're going to present this information to the council on how to finance it. And then our plan is at your August 17th meeting to have you guys award the bid and talk through the financing. So this will be on your guys' agenda next month. If you guys recall, we put in a 90-day that they had to be able to hold their bids for 90 days. And so we'll be well within that window to award this in August. But I at least wanted to give you a heads up on the outcome of the bid. Obviously, you can see the engineer's estimate was just on the base bid alone. And so that was $14.6 million. So, our base bid, we saved about $2.4 million. So we definitely got good bids, which was what we were hoping for based on when we bid it. So I think that's all I've got right now. I did want to also share with you guys that the Mormon Church has filed their PUD. And so we actually had our first TAC meeting with them last week to talk through it. And so it's certainly optimistic, and we're excited that they've taken that step to file the PUD, because that does mean something's coming or something's on the way. I'm happy to answer any questions, but other than that, that's all I had for you in your update on 100 South.
Any other questions for Ryan regarding 100 South? Okay, moving on to new business. Access control quotes. Ryan, what do we know about them?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick introduction, but Deputy Chief Nugent's here to talk you guys through this. And so I'll let him walk through it, other than we need to do some enhancements to the building. And so I'll turn it over to Brian and let him tell you guys about this.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys, for having us, allowing us to present this today. So we have two different issues here that we're trying to get some resolution on. Number one, if you're not too familiar with the situation with our building here at the police department, our building was built back in about 2006, 2007. At that point, we had actually, as part of that construction, there was a movement to move to an electronic access system for the police department. I'm not really sure how everything came about. I was not a part of that process. However, in 2006, I believe, whenever they approved the funding for the electronic access system, they actually went with a vendor and a software that was already expired and discontinued. That software actually runs on a Windows XP machine, which has long been now unsupported. And so one of the invoice quotes that you see there, that was part of your attachment, was for the police department. And that was the one for the amount of $15,400.90. In addition to that, and speaking with council members, speaking with Mr. Cannon, and understanding that town hall is used quite a bit for other meetings, such as this meeting today, typically, BZA, Planning Commission, all of those organizations, Rotary. The town hall is currently not upfitted with any electronic access whatsoever. And so the goal here was to find a level of enhanced security for the town hall. And so we've been working closely with a couple of different vendors. I had a few vendors that never even returned a phone call or sent us quotes back. We looked at about 4 or 5 different people that were able to work with us, come to the building and take a look at what our needs were. And so the other company, the same company that's looking to facilitate the electronic access for the police department, can actually do the same software that will allow us to control both buildings. And so the second quote that you see there in the amount of $22,343.71 allows them to install all the hardware, the wiring, the software, and kind of taking a building that's been built a long time ago and antiquating that into the electronic access. The situation, so I guess technically there's 2 different items here that we're asking for your support on. I can tell you that the system that we have here at the police department, I just had somebody today come to me because their access fob stopped working. So we're trying to limp across the finish line here and try to get this system updated as much as we can. And so we're trying to find one system that would increase the efficiency and operations of both buildings. And so we're asking for you guys to consider this as approved. And as soon as we do get approval, the vendor is ready to come out and start doing the actual labor itself. So just a quick thumbnail of that. I did provide in the email a list of reasons and some discussion points. If you have any conversation you want to have about those, I'm happy to go over those. Again, we have an outdated system at the PD, no system at Town Hall. We are in the process of recoring keys at Town Hall. There were some concerns about accountability for keys over the last several years. And so they're already taking care of that. That's going to be funded for those expenses outside of RDC. That's budgeted through, I believe, Ryan's budget for building maintenance. Is that right, Ryan?
Yes, that's correct. We're going to pay for the rekeying out of building maintenance.
Okay. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Tried to give it as much information as I could to you guys in that email in just now, but I'm sure you guys have some other questions for me. I'm happy to answer.
I probably got a silly question for you, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The software that they load up, who maintains that software? And I guess I don't know how the town works as far as their IT, but is there someone that protects that software from others tapping into that and being allowed to disengage some locks? Or
Yes. So one of the questions that we had early on was, but almost every company out there wants to also get into the world of charging you $100 a month for everything to be maintained on a cloud and have remote access to that cloud. And working with our IT team here, we actually keep everything in-house. So that way we don't have anybody externally that can come in and change permissions. And we also have a backup server for that system as well. And so we're going to avoid having to incur $1,200 a year for each building for what they called monitoring. But once we started talking to them about what the word monitoring meant, they were able to kind of make a delineation to say, look, we're not talking about fire alarms or burglar alarms that we're monitoring. We're talking about just basically allowing you to have the system on our cloud. And so in speaking with our IT team, we have plenty of room on our existing servers to push all of that software to. And you'll have one administrator at Town Hall and one administrator at Avon Police Department that can control every bit of the access for both buildings.
Okay, so it's our town that maintains that and protects it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is it safe to assume as well, Chief, that regarding the installation, I see about the expense being a little bit higher than anticipated,
Mhm.
that this would be probably the last time, probably for the foreseeable future, you need to do that?
Absolutely. So a lot of your installation expenses are at Town Hall. If you'll notice on that there, you're showing $800 for each installation. There are a lot of things like fire block that they have to work through. We're talking about taking, fishing wires all the way up through the ceiling. So there's going to be an extensive amount of installation for that. As for the installation for the police department, but right now we have a wall in a room that has several just electronic controller boxes. And the number of wires coming out of that are just an absolute mess. And so their staff's going to have to come through, figure out which wire goes to which line and rewire those. So and you're antiquating one building and in some sense you're antiquating this newer one here. But all the software itself, I don't have any expectation that this software is not going to last us for the foreseeable future. Obviously, it's hard to put a number on that, right?
Right, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, we're moving to something modern, right? So in 2006, 2007, we had already kind of bought ourselves into a dated and discontinued system. And so it's as current as we could possibly be. Our IT vendor is a contract employee type situation. And they have actually worked with this vendor before in the past. And so they have a pretty good working relationship. Haley's Lock, Safe, and Key has been in service for well over 40 years, from what I understand, here in central Indiana. So I think we're going with a good vendor and a modern software, sir.
Very
Now,
good.
within the system, is there some kind of manual override that in case the electricity goes out or?
Yeah, so we will be dependent on the cores. And so our building cores here at the police department are secured. Those corings are being completed for town hall on a Wednesday of this week. And so we'll not be in a position where we'll be passing out a whole lot of keys to people anymore. We'll just simply be going to the key fob route. That way, if a fob is lost or damaged, we can just replace it and zap it out of that system. In the event that we do have a failure of electronics, we would have contact points with the town hall and with the police department in terms of someone actually physically being able to go there and actually turning keys on the cores to get into the building.
Any other questions?
Nope, I don't.
Anything else, Chief, you'd like to add regards? Thank you, by the way, for the update and the descriptions, explanations. That's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I just appreciate your guys' consideration. I know I would say one more thing. We actually looked into, there's a particular fund that some of these type of expenses could potentially be used from. It's called the Court Clerks Perpetuation Fund. This is a fund that the court clerks collect when they receive a citation, and that citation is paid for. Some of those dollars move into an account that allows them to maintain security. So that could be things for like file cabinets and whatnot, video cameras. And so we really kind of anticipated initially that we might be able to use some of those funds. However, when we spoke to the public access counselors and talked to State Board of Accounts about these sort of right and wrongs, we were given a pretty stark response of absolutely not. And so we did try to use that revenue opportunity that we thought existed, but it turns out we can't use that. So I would just kind of add that to your consideration, that we did try to use a different fund specifically that we thought could have used or been used for this, but that came up empty-handed.
Yeah, that's kind of a good segue. I should probably let you guys know that this was not something that we budgeted for out of the TIF district. Unfortunately, this is really a capital expenditure, in previous years, the town budgets to do like a capital improvement at our building. If you know, I've talked to you guys about this before, that we want to do a little something every year to take care of our building. But if you guys recall, this year we actually had budgeted to do a remodel of the town hall. And so since we did that, we didn't put money in for a capital improvement. And now we've kind of pushed back that remodel till next year, just based on everything else that we've got going on. And so I'd like to use some of that money to basically do this at both buildings. It's definitely a high priority for us to be able to secure our buildings. And so we really don't have another source of revenue. We would probably prefer to not be here asking you guys to pay for this, but we really don't have anywhere else to pay for it in the town's existing budget. So some of those ongoing concerns that you guys have, like about upkeep of software and maintenance, those things we will incorporate into our general fund, and we'll take care of maintenance and upkeep of those things. But we just need a little bit of help here with this capital improvement to help us secure the buildings, which is kind of why we're asking it from you guys. I did provide you guys your report. Unfortunately, I think your current balance in the TIF, you guys have about $11.6 million. So obviously this $38,000 expenditure won't hurt you guys. I did have, Julie didn't have the reports done, but I did get one today. And right now, just in this year's budget, you guys have a uncommitted balance of about $9 million in the 2020 budget. So I think it's safe for you guys to be able to approve this expenditure and not impact any of your other capital projects you're doing.
So we need to get a motion out there then, Ryan, to approve then?
Yes, yeah. If you guys are willing to do this, someone would make a motion.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second.
Had a motion by Bill Reed, second by Grant Niemeyer. Jason Tuttle,
4.
Andy Ottenweller,
He's on mute again.
you're muted, Andy.
Oh, my daughter's sitting right next to me here.
I know. Okay,
4.
thank you. Bill Reed,
4.
Grant Niemeyer.
4.
Thank you very much. That was approved 4-0.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you guys.
Thank
We'll
you,
get
Chief.
going and get it installed.
Thank
Thanks, Brian, for doing the work and
Absolutely.
research on that for us to get it done.
No problem at all.
Okay. Next, I believe it's the agreement for the tax increment revenue bonds of 2020 for the 100 South project, Ryan.
Yeah, so this is part of this is a proposal from Financial Solutions Group to do the final financial work for the bond. I think it's pretty straightforward. This is an expense that we anticipate and we build into our bonding costs. So you will see this show up next month when Greg shows his financing. This is part of our expectation of what it's going to cost to finance it. You'll see his total fee for professional services is not to exceed $50,000. And then he does have a fallback that if for some reason he starts going through the financing and then we stop, that he would be reimbursed $10,000 for the work that he does if we don't move forward with the bond. This is pretty typical. There's really nothing unusual about this agreement. And it is staff's recommendation that you guys approve it. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions regards the TIF agreement? And would like to make a motion for its passage.
I move to accept the proposed agreement.
I'll go ahead and second.
Andy Ottenweller,
Yes.
Bill Reed,
4.
Jason Tuttle,
4.
Grant Niemeyer.
4.
It was approved 4-0.
Okay, any other business, et cetera, Ryan, that didn't make it on the agenda?
I don't have any other business that needed on the agenda, but I know at your guys' last meeting, and I know we lost Ann here. Hopefully she's coming back because she was the one who had kind of asked for this, and a couple of you guys kind of piggybacked on it. And I didn't have a chance to dig real deep, but I did find a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys on Ivy Tech. You guys had asked me about what we'd paid Ivy Tech and what our agreement said. So I include a copy of the Ivy Tech scholarship program and what the town had paid Ivy Tech over the last 10 years. What I found was it looks like we still owe them about $15,000. And that was the last invoice, which we decided since they were leaving that we weren't going to pay. So it looks like all we have left to pay them is $15,000. I didn't include it in your packet, but the last scholarship update I had, it looked like Tom had been tracking this, and I don't know if it came from Ivy Tech, but it only showed like $2,400 left in their scholarship program at the end of 2018. And so it does look like there's a little bit of a gap there in 2019. It doesn't mean that they didn't give the scholarships. I can reach out to them and try to get some additional information, but it looks like we would have given them about $30,000 in 2019. So they would have needed to give out about $32,000 worth of scholarships in 2019. Then the next thing that I attached there for you guys was a copy of our agreement. And you'll notice we did write in kind of what we refer to as clawbacks. But if you notice, our recourse rights basically in 2019 was 0 if they left. So based on our agreement with them, because it was the last year of the agreement, we didn't really have any rights to recoup any of the money. So I just kind of attached that information since you guys had asked me about it last month, and I'll try to get some additional information, and I'll probably, since John's on here, I'll probably task him. I know he's got a relationship with some of the folks at Ivy Tech, and so we'll try to reach out and see if we can get an update on the status of their scholarship program.
Thank you, Ryan, for getting that.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. That does help quite a bit.
I mean, it's just good to know where the dollars went and if they were spent where we intended them to be spent. It's a shame that they left, honestly. I think it's really a bummer.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. John, do you know, are they gone already?
The signs are gone.
Yeah,
Yes.
they look like they pulled stakes.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're gone.
Yeah.
Are they in Plainfield then as we speak? Have they picked up over there? Is that site not quite ready yet?
I don't think that's ready yet.
I didn't think so. Right.
They indicated to me they'd be gone June 30th.
Overall, though, I guess they pretty much fulfilled their end of the initial agreement, though, it sounds like, based on just kind of let it run, it sounds like. Okay.
At least everything up until that point at the end of 2018, it certainly looked like I was able to find it. It was a listing of all the kids who got scholarships and how much. It had their names, it had their addresses. And so it did look like they provided us all the documentation other than just the 2019 numbers, which, you know, we can try to get from them, but they may just not have gotten to the point of submitting that to us yet.
Any other questions, comments, Ryan? Anything else, agenda or not agenda wise that you know about?
Nope, unless you guys have any questions, I think I covered everything. If you guys can't make it, that August 17th meeting will be important. So please mark your calendars. We'll talk about financing and the size of the bond and how we do it. So that'll be an important meeting to awarding the bid, on top of awarding the bid for the 100 South project. So please, if you guys can make that, make sure you mark that on your calendars and you guys can make it. Do you guys want to talk about if we're doing that? Would you guys prefer to do that meeting in person? Do you want to plan on doing our August meeting in person? Assuming COVID doesn't change anything between now and then?
Sounds good to me.
I guess in a case like this, it does make the best sense, Ryan, to be in person if we can be, which I guess we can now. Huh?
We had to walk through it.
Yeah, I'd feel better about Greg being able to be there standing in front of you guys and to walk through how we're proposing to pay for it.
Very good.
Perfect. Sounds good. Let's plan on that August 17th meeting in person.
Very good.
I don't have anything else unless you guys have questions.
Not a thing. I guess with that, we'll see you next month. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Good
Have a
job.
good night.
Thank you.
Good job.